You're listening to Lore Friendly, and I don't know the episode number, so I don't care.
108? Wait, is it 108?
I have no idea what.
Oh, that'd be... No, it's nowhere near 108. We're on like 113.
Wow, I didn't know that. Just chugging right along.
Apparently we are.
Today's episode, we're going to talk about Half-Life Alyx and The Sims, I think, the college expansion, and some other stuff. Elon Musk, I think. But yeah, let's talk about the first thing on our menu. It's the Half-Life Alyx announcement. Half-Life is coming out with a game, or Valve is coming out with a game.
I know. Crazy. I think this is the issue with us recording on Mondays because...
Yeah, somebody is going to drop a huge announcement as soon as we finish
Yeah, so it's a good thing that we didn't record last week because literally as soon as we would have finished recording, the Half-Life Alyx news came out.
Yeah.
And people have been like, well, why aren't you talking about this? You've talked about Half-Life on the show before.
It's a long time coming. I mean, it's only been 527 years since the last game.
Something like that. When was... No, the last full Half-Life game that came out was in 2000 and... I think Half-Life originally came out in 2004 because it came out around the same time as Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple of expansions. When was the last thing that came out regarding episode 2? Was that 2008?
That sounds about right. I mean, the graphics still hold up today, so I'm kind of inclined to
No,
think...
2008, sorry.
Yeah, I'm inclined to think it was the late 2000s. Yeah. I mean, it's been a while. It's not Half-Life 3 because that's the main game, right? More or less, right? But it's been something that they've developed specifically for VR.
Which has been what a lot of the rumors going around about Valve and integrating VR technology has been talking about is, well, they're just waiting for VR to be good enough now instead of developing Half-Life 3. So maybe this is like a trial run for it because Half-Life Alyx is going to be a prequel. It's going to show what Alex was kicking around with before Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
But the main thing is it going to turn people off? Because VR technology, although it's becoming more accessible, it's still out of the realm of accessibility for a lot of gamers. Like, I've just had to fork out 800 quid for a computer. I can't afford to buy a VR headset on top of that as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not just the VR headset. You need a computer capable of running VR.
Exactly.
You need a video card capable of that. And yeah, it's a huge investment. And the other thing is, I would recommend, I mean, you don't need the Index, you don't need that headset, but I would recommend getting the controllers at least because it's also the only set of controllers that I think that have finger tracking. So even if you owned a VR headset, I think you still need to buy the new controllers because all the other VR, like Oculus or HTC, I believe they just have controllers that you click and press buttons on, right, in a joystick.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually have the finger tracking. I think this game is going to have use of your fingers, I don't know, maybe just gestures or whatever, but you're gonna be able to flip people off is what I'm saying. That's the important thing here. It's gonna track your fingers. So
but that's locking even more people out, which is really upsetting because one of the advantages of PC gaming at least is that you're not locked into a console.
Yeah.
You can go with whatever developer that you want. You've got all this accessibility to different indie games and things like that you can't get on the other two consoles. And you can get whatever's in your price range. You can get a basic gaming PC that will do whatever you want for £400. Or if you're obsessed with graphics and getting a really clean game with all the smooth edges and things like that and better performance, then you can upgrade. So you've got different bars for entry depending on what your wants are as a gamer. If you're limiting people to one sort of headset and one sort of controller, then that's got the issue of accessibility into it because then there's no flexibility. If you want to have better graphics for this VR experience, tough shit.
I do think the game will be really good because everything that they've made...
It's Valve.
Yeah, I mean, even the small little demos that they make are for VR. I played them; they're super fun. They're much better than and much more polished and well done than I think other games are. I mean, it's super immersive too. I mean, I know we hate
Yeah.
that word in the mod community, but like there's this one little demo game where you take those portal balls like Wheatley, like Wheatley's that little floating ball that talks to you, and you put them.
Personality cores.
Yeah, personality core. There you go. You put it in a slingshot, this giant slingshot, and you launch them into like this warehouse full of boxes and things, and just smash stuff. And the cool thing is that like they'll be in the middle of a speech or some long soliloquy, but the second you launch them, they'll be like, "Aye," and it's seamless. They'll like scream right in the middle of them talking, and I don't know how they do that audio wise, but it sounds pretty seamless. So it's like everything about it is just
It's not jittery. It's
yeah, it's extremely well done. I do worry sometimes that the finger tracking isn't perfect, so like some like complex movements might be difficult or might be like frustrating because it's not tracking it properly, but it's still gonna be better than just using the regular controllers, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to play it on the Index.
I'm trying to imagine what it would be like. Oh, what was
Well, because we
you know
saw
when
in the
games
trailer.
were starting to use 6-axis?
Yeah, that's true. That was a
And
big
the
upside.
tracking on that was atrocious. I tried playing, what was it? Was it Motocross, which was one of the release games for the PlayStation 3? Or something like that?
But yeah, I remember the games that originally you tilted the controller to kind of like move stuff. Is that what you're talking about? That kind of motion
Yeah,
tracking?
to move things, yeah, that sort of thing. 'Cause
Like
that
a
was
plane
one of
or
the,
something, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the selling points of 6-axis was that it was motion sensitive, and it did not work. It did not work.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad. I just feel like that it's not perfect in that like your fingers aren't have to be perfectly aligned for it to track it perfectly. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's I mean the Half-Life trailer did show like Alex taking a bullet, sticking it into the gun, and then kind of like locking the chamber and reloading using her hands. And I wonder if that is just it's going to be tracking your fingers like if you,
Yeah,
or if it's just like a click button thing.
yeah. Are you going to have to go through the motions of loading and reloading, or can you just press a button? Maybe there's options for both of it.
Yeah, who knows? Like the more granular and intricate it gets, the more I worry about how well it's going to track
Exactly, yeah.
the fingers. But yeah, it seems somewhat exciting. But the other thing about it is that with VR, the games I've played, it's usually something where you have all the time in the world. You can kind of just like go at your own pace, so you don't really get motion sick.
Yeah.
This seems like it's action packed, so I don't know how they're gonna handle that.
Well, that's the genre of Half-Life, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
shooter. There's gonna be some action in it. There's not gonna. It's gonna be Oh, did you ever play the arcade machines like Time Crisis?
Are those the ones that are on rails and you're shooting stuff, or no?
Sort of, yeah. So it's like the ones where your character's being navigated around, but as a camera, and you sit there, and in the arcade you've got a gun.
Yeah.
You shoot it. You
Yeah, I
shoot at
played
things.
those.
Because I'm kind of partially imagining it like that. And I would not be mad at that because I love Time Crisis. They stole so much of my money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the fence. I'd rather be able to move. At the same time, movement is a problem in VR.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have a big enough space, I mean, I've read people on Reddit talking about like, okay, I forget the price of the Index. I'm going to need to buy a new house for this game. I'm going to need to buy a house with a huge space to make my VR room. So it's just, the price of gaming is getting higher and higher. Eventually, you're going to need to own your own warehouse to be able to play Half-Life.
I mean, how fun would that be, though?
It would be really fun.
Although that being said,
But only the billionaires.
I don't know if you have this over. I don't know if you have this over there. You probably do, but like VR experiences. So like complete dedicated shops dedicated to offering you a VR experience.
Yeah, I think they have like a bunch in Japan, and like because it makes it more affordable. It's kind of like arcades were in back in the day in like the 80s. Like you go to the arcades and the arcade games are better than the games you play at home. Like that was the way it was because it was just impossible to fit those kind of graphics and that kind of gameplay into a console. And then eventually it just switched. I mean, now all the games are on console and the arcades are just like they're just terrible. But yeah, other than Time Crisis.
Yeah, because I think we've got 2 of them in Nottingham, and I'm really tempted to go and try one out, but it's finding somebody to try them out with me.
You can do things by yourself. It's fine. I go to the movies by myself.
I can't. I don't have time to do things by
That's
myself,
true.
Chris.
You might as well like pack in an adventure with a friend, right? It's like it's a 2 for the price of 1. It's
2 birds, 1 stone.
it's bundling. It's like, why are you going to this VR place with me when I have no interest in VR? Well, I'm bundling you with this VR product. That's what you tell your friend.
Yeah. It's a 2 for the price of 1 bundle.
I'm saving money. It's the way it is now.
I'm saving time.
Time and money. You're not saving money, huh? You're saving time, but no. It's a time bundle. There you go.
That sounds like a better bundle than half the stuff that you get with games nowadays.
It's the fix your time crisis. But
good roundabout. Well done. Bringing it back. That was smooth. I'll give you that. That was smooth.
Yeah. Have you ever brought a friend to something they didn't like just because, just to try and convince them that they'd like it?
I do try and get people interested in history who aren't necessarily interested in history. So I'll find out a really fun historical fact and I'll turn around and I'll tell James about it and I'm really excited about it and he's just like, okay.
Yeah, Native American burial ground, I get it.
Yeah, come on, next. But yeah, I've not actually ever taken anyone anywhere that they haven't enjoyed because, let's face it, I can make anything enjoyable. Apart from random historical facts, apparently.
Do you think that this game will make VR more popular or make the genre take that next step to where it's...
I think there needs to be...
at a point where the majority of players play.
I think there needs to be an increase in accessibility. But actually, what you mentioned about arcades in the 80s and stuff... maybe with all of these VR experiences popping up, they could offer a lower bar to entry and have... So, for example, Half-Life Alyx is going to be a massive release. They could lease out the rights to perform the game publicly or like as part of a private business. They could lease out those rights and then pass it off to the consumers. So, like, say an hour's playtime for this much money, they'll save your progress until you want to go again. That sort of thing. That could make it more accessible, and I'd be interested to see if any companies do try to do that. Because that would be a more accessible bar for entry for me.
Would that be financially viable, though? How much would you have to charge for it to make sense?
Well, it depends on how long Half-Life Alyx is going to be. And it depends on what kind of leasing they get from it and what they'd be charging you per hour, per half hour. But I think, depending on the amount of players that you want to do it as well, it could be a bit of a money spinner while still making it more accessible for the consumer because it's got a lower financial bar to entry than investing in your own VR kit.
Yeah. Because, well, if you think about it, in the 80s, like, arcades, you put in a quarter, but you only get to play for, like, I don't know. Like, well, it depends how long you can survive, but a quarter didn't last that long. It was, like 10, 15 minutes, right? And then the next person in line comes. Like, I don't know how arcade games are now, but Time Crisis or whatever, I assume it's, like, a few dollars, right?
Time Crisis
and then you
is
play
£2.
For, like, yeah. So there you go, £2, and you play for like what, 5-10 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And then the next person comes in and plays. Yeah, the games now are designed to kind of just be a revolving door, more or less, right? But a game like Half-Life, which is supposed to be a single player experience, you're gonna need like a bunch of VR headsets, right? Because people are gonna be there for a long time, and if there's like a long queue, you're going to need like a lot of space and a lot of... just so people aren't waiting. Because if you think...
it might be a case where where they ask you to book ahead for something like that.
Yeah, because the core arcade experience kind of goes against the core single player experience, where one is a short bit of fun that you have and then you leave, and the next person comes in, and the single player is something that you sit down, you entrench yourself, and you play for hours and hours.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would work. But
it could well be similar formats to... I know that for the VR experiences that you've got at the moment, you do have to book ahead to take part of them, and they've got their own game consoles in there for you to play whilst you're waiting. And it could well be similar to escape rooms, where you've got to book out a time, you've got to book out a slot how long you want in there, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true. Generally speaking, though, it'll be interesting to see if this creates more innovation for VR, or if more focus on VR-centric games that then exist currently.
Yeah. It could be a gateway product.
Yeah, especially being a prequel. I'm not really all that, like, the story doesn't really well, it'll be interesting, but it doesn't really, like, draw me as much as what the innovation is going to be in this game. Like, I'm interested to play it and see just how innovative it is. And it's coming out in March.
Which is
like,
really
that's, like,
nearby.
just around the corner.
And there's a load of, like, big games coming out around that area as well. Like, that first half...
Yeah, Cyberpunk.
That first half of the year is going to be fucking rammed.
You're that dog.
Yes, I do. Hello, doggy.
They built him a
Hello,
giant
doggy.
house too. It's like taller than I am. It's huge. It's I don't. It must be a
Fucking
big
hell.
dog. Like it's.
Why is he so loud?
They must have to pay property taxes on that fucking house because it is fucking huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Must have had to get planning permission.
Yeah. Because it is a huge doghouse. But yeah, Cyberpunk is coming out. I think they also announced that they're gonna have multiplayer as well. And
Speaking of Cyberpunk, apparently it may well be that Elon Musk's recently announced Cybertruck may be appearing in Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I wonder if it will have shootable windows.
because that's what you need.
Because that was the fun news of last week.
That's what you need in the future. You need bulletproof windows. You need laser-proof windows also, I would think, right?
Yeah, because it's laser weaponry, isn't it? Heat-proof windows. Cybertruck ain't going to do shit.
But apparently, it's not rock-proof because what did somebody throw at it? They threw a rock or
A metal ball.
metal ball, okay.
He threw a metal ball and it shattered the window.
But that's fine because who's going to be
So,
carrying around metal balls in the future? Nobody. It's like...
Yeah. So for a bit of context, for the two people who haven't heard of this, so Elon Musk, we've talked about him a couple of times on the show. He's just announced that Tesla's new Cybertruck, which is a pickup truck, and you use it to pick up things, and it's bulletproof, and it's ugly as sin. Have you seen photos of it? It is disgusting. I don't like angular things.
No, it looks weird. It looks like it was made in some kind of concept art from like the 1980s or something. It's just
of like how the future car will look.
And next to it is a
Like,
guy
it
in a
looks
jetpack
ugly.
or something equally silly. And yeah,
Like, it looks ugly. I am not a fan of the aesthetic. But supposedly it's hardcore. So they got a guy out on stage with the sledgehammer, bashed at the sides, nothing. And then they were like, oh, the glass is bulletproof as well. And to demonstrate that, they got somebody with a ball to throw the ball at the window, and it shattered. And then, to see if it was a fluke and demonstrate that no, really, it is bulletproof, threw another one at the window, which also smashed. Because of course it did.
this is how basically people put out mods. They don't really test it. They just put it out and say, hey,
Yeah.
it does this, and then it breaks.
And then they lose £768 million of their net worth.
Yes, because that actually happens to people who have their net worth tied to stocks, because stocks are fucking insane.
Yeah. Could you imagine, though? He lost more theoretical worth of money than we will ever make in our lifetimes.
Yes, much more. Much. Well, if you think about just the fact that a billionaire could lose $900 million, $900 million, and still have $100 million left over. So, like, the concept of a billionaire is crazy to me. It's insane.
It's unfathomable. Like, it's not an amount of wealth. It's an intangible thing.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot imagine what I would do with £1 million.
Right.
Never mind what is it, 1,000 million to be a billion?
Yes. I think that's the key. It's like when people hear the word billion, it's hard to like really wrap your head because the number one sounds small. If you say 1 billion, it sounds pretty small. But if you say 1,000 million, a million times 1,000, like or like 999 million plus another million, that's
Yeah.
a lot of money. That is an insane amount of money to have.
It's unfathomable. It would take an average person working for, 30,000 years non-stop on minimum wage without eating, drinking, having a nap, having to rent anywhere to live, having to buy clothes, and they still wouldn't be a billionaire.
That is insane. Not to get too political, but yeah, I mean billionaires shouldn't even exist. That's
No.
it's bizarre that one person can have that much wealth.
It's basically Smaug, isn't it?
Yeah.
Smaug on his little roost of money.
Or Akatosh,
Yeah.
which is basically AKA the old smog something. What's H stand for?
What?
Akatosh is AKA the old smog house? No, the old smog something.
Horde. Like a dragon's horde.
Oh, also known as the old smog himself.
Ah.
Well, it can't be Horde because then he would just be a giant thing of gold, right? He wouldn't be a dragon if he was Smog's Horde.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
then you would go to a shrine of Akatosh and you would just see a pile of gold there, and then you would just take the gold. Why would you even pray? You'd say, oh.
I'm just gonna take this golden dragon.
And you could just keep taking gold and gold and gold every day, and you still wouldn't be a billionaire, but you would be pretty rich.
So, question: how many gold dragons in Game of Thrones would a golden dragon be worth?
I don't know, how big is the dragon?
Let's say Drogon size. Pure
Does
solid
he lay
gold.
golden eggs?
No, he's dead.
He's just
He's a
solid
golden
gold.
dragon. Yeah.
Okay. How many golden dragons? I don't know, but it would probably be less than Jeff Bezos' net worth. So,
Yeah.
I would still rather have Amazon.com. So, there you go.
Yeah, I'm quite intrigued to see if it does actually end up in Cyberpunk.
Well, it wouldn't be that hard, seeing it basically looks like it took like 5 minutes to make in 3ds Max.
Yeah, it has not been properly rendered, has it?
I mean, looking at the Cybertruck, it doesn't really seem like it is a complicated thing to like add to the game.
I think I could model
Yes.
that. And I have next to zero experience with modding.
I don't like the fact that they call it a truck. Why is it a truck? Is the bed in the back? Like isn't it that like a trunk? Like, wouldn't a truck have an open bed that you can access from the side?
You'd think, wouldn't you? Although my dad's got a pickup truck and it's fully sheltered. Oh, hang on! I found a picture. So basically the roof folds down and turns into a little pickup for a dirt bike, which is 100 times more aesthetically appealing than the Cybertruck itself.
Yeah, it has like a little ramp.
But apparently, despite all this mishap, it's still sold in pre-order. What was it, 200,000?
Yeah, imagine seeing that on the road.
But apparently it's pretty reasonably priced. It's like 30k.
That's not that bad. That's reasonably priced. And I'm sure it's Tesla, so it's going to be electric, right?
Yeah, which is environmentally friendly.
Yeah, there you go. So it's not all bad. I mean, it looks fucking weird as hell, but I don't know. It lacks something. Like it's very boxy and it doesn't have much to it in the way of design. It's monochromatic.
It's not a pretty thing.
It's very minimalist. That's the word.
I wouldn't say it's minimalist. I'd say it's ugly. That's just my
That's
personal
just a
preference.
fancy word for ugly. I'm trying to be kind. Not that we have to, because who knows? Elon is a billionaire, so he's probably up to all sorts of weird billionaire evil villain stuff.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a very evil billionaire thing to do. Make an ugly car.
Doing the finger steeples right now. Has some kind of secret bunker with all sorts of like weird experiments going on inside it. It's just billionaire things. They need their money to do this stuff. making Amnesia Rays so we can forget the fact that they're billionaires.
Maybe that's what they need, because I'm very bitter about the fact that billionaires exist. But that's because I'm a poor minimum wage worker.
You know what Amnesia Rays are, though, right?
Wait, what was that? What?
You know what an amnesia ray is, though, right?
An amnesia ray? I've never heard of an amnesia ray.
It's basically a revolver.
Wait, what?
It's just a gun.
See, I was making a really subtle joke there about amnesia.
Oh, okay.
As in, I'd forgotten what amnesia was.
Yes.
But I didn't... What? It's an act... What?
It's a Simpsons joke. It's like Mr. Burns says something like, "Get me the amnesia ray," and then Smithers goes, "The revolver?" And he goes, "Yes." And then he does the finger staples.
You know I haven't watched much Simpsons. I don't have the time to catch up on 20 million seasons of Simpsons. I don't have the time for anything
That's
at the
true.
moment,
That's true.
Chris.
Okay.
Speaking of not having time for anything...
Do you want a Death Stranding update?
Yes, I do. How far have you gotten?
I'm on chapter 2.
In how many hours?
I don't know. It's been 2 weeks and I still haven't really gotten that.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, they say the game is going to be really great in chapter 3, but I just can't get to chapter 3. It's very hard. I do see all these things on YouTube and Twitter, and it's like wow, that looks really cool.
I want to get that.
I want to do that. I want to do that. And then it's like, but I'm still at the point where you're just carrying 50 packages on your back and walking across Iceland.
Playing Jenga.
Yeah, pretty much. It's bad. I don't know. Do you think boredom is a legitimate game mechanic? Like, if it's to set up something cool later on? I don't know if that's what Kojima's doing, but...
I don't think boredom's the right way to go about it. I can understand where having lulls in gameplay is very effective, especially for things like horror games. But a lull should be a lull, and it shouldn't be the first 15 hours of a game.
Well, what if there was like a point, games can be art now, right? So they don't have to be constantly giving you dopamine hits. Can a game deliberately make you feel a certain emotion that is not typical, like boredom or tedium or, I don't know, or just annoyance?
It's funny that you mentioned this, actually. So, I like watching a YouTuber called H Bomber Guy. Fantastic YouTuber. I find his content hilarious because I am also left-wing trash. And he, just this weekend, put up a 2-hour video about a game called Pathologic. And it's basically the game that is used to argue that games don't need to be fun. That is clever and intense, and it is basically the first bullet in the rifle of video game critics when they're saying video games can be art, video games don't have to be fun. But their main campaign takes 20 hours. You can play it through with 3 different characters, which is 3 different storylines, but each playthrough will only take you 20 hours. It sounds like you've been playing it for 20I hours, Chris.
It's probably not 20 hours.
And you've still not gotten to the payoff.
Well, part of the problem is the way I play. I pick up everything and I look at everything. So it's kind of... The problem is that I play really slow. But yeah, I don't know. What's this game Pathological? What's the primary emotion that it's trying to make you feel if you're not having fun? It's making you suffer? Is it
Frustration.
I mean, can a game do that?
Hopeless.
It could inflict suffering and pain on you and do that, because art is supposed to make you feel all these kinds of emotions, right? It doesn't necessarily make you feel happy. There are art pieces or movies or whatever that where the ending is it's meant to make you feel despair, right? Can a game do that? Can a game frustrate you and make you feel incredible despair and that is worth the price? It's an enjoyable experience overall.
Oh god, yeah. The amount of times that I have cried for video games is beyond belief.
Yeah, crying.
Because they make me feel a different sort of emotion. They make me feel desperate. They make me feel sad.
Yeah. But more like the chief game mechanic. Like the story can definitely do that because the story is a story. The story it's no different than movies or whatever, but where it's different is that you have gameplay, right? So does gameplay have to be fun, I guess, is the thing.
Perhaps Papers, Please?
Yeah.
Papers, Please didn't have fun gameplay, but it did have a tediousness to it, and it did
That's true.
really accurately reflects the position that you'd be in, but it's not a game that I've go back to and replay.
That is a good
Because
example.
I'm really bad at checking people's papers.
That is a good example. Yeah, you're just rubber stamping everyone across the board, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I would do it too. But yeah, that's a good example because the act itself, I don't know if it's necessarily like the gameplay itself. I don't know if it's necessarily like a rewarding loop in that sense. It's meant to be frustrating, meant to be not frustrating, but meant to be tedious, I guess, and monotonous in a way that if you're not sharp, like you could let the wrong person through or whatever, in that you have to kind of pay attention to things and pay attention to details, even though the gameplay itself is designed to kind of dull your brain in that sense. So yeah, there you go. That is a perfect example, and it's a good game, and I like it. It's an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I like it, but it's not one that I immediately think, oh, I want to play a game. I want to have fun.
Yeah, they could definitely, like, there could be a bunch of games that are like that are just like depressing like work experiences, but it's meant to be art and
Train
reflect,
simulator.
and reflect the milieu or whatever, the zeitgeist of the time. So I don't know, it would yeah, I could see that. That's definitely something, especially with VR, because going back to Half-Life Alyx, it could better simulate certain sensations and certain like experiences that can only be lived, I guess, gameplay wise. Like if you're falling over, if you have like 20 suitcases on your back in your Norman Reedus and you fall flat on your face, at the end of the day it's just an avatar, right? But if you actually have to feel that weight and you actually feel that and fall down and like hurt yourself, yeah that could be pretty, like, I don't know, immersive experience to like feel that pain, feel what it's like to have.
Could be immersive, but I think it would definitely heighten the bar for entry to people who are actually physically fit.
Yeah.
Not like me.
Are you saying you cannot carry like 50 pieces of luggage on your back and run across Iceland?
I am saying that, yes. I can barely carry one bit of luggage. I can barely carry my makeup
With
collection.
random indie music flying in from outer space. It's just...
I mean, I do love random bits of indie music.
yeah.
I must say that.
It'll help you. It helps like keep you relaxed while you're carrying giant pieces of luggage on your back. So, no, I mean that's not true. I've seen your character at least carry like 500 cheese wheels. So you know it's just in Skyrim. So, what's 50 pieces of luggage compared to that, right?
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. I can't carry around 20 pieces of armor with me either. Unless maybe it was like fur armor. I could do that.
Yeah, Skyrim in like a holodeck experience would be a lot different, I guess. I guess you would still be a stealth archer, but you wouldn't be able to carry all the bandit armors and bring them back to camp. Like you couldn't like clean out an entire cave and like be over encumbered and carry them back. It just wouldn't work.
And if you had to walk from location to location instead of fast travel.
Yeah, that would be awful.
Whew. My step count would go through the roof, though, if they can figure out how you're meant to be walking around in VR.
That is true. It would help us get into shape, I think. Or probably not. We'd probably just fucking use the wagon.
Just use the... Yeah. Just watch the world go by.
That or just get a mod that lets you fast travel.
Yeah.
Or pay people.
Fast travel mod.
Pay people with your...
All the stones of Berenzia.
Pay people with your Akatosh shrines. That's what you can do. You could just basically change the lore. That's all you gotta do. You gotta change the lore from Akatosh to say Smog himself to Smog's horde. Then you just steal all the shrines and you're rich. There you go. You're Jeff Bezos. But yeah, what were we talking about?
I don't know anymore. Not having time for things, which is why I've not yet caught up on Watchmen, because that's adult life. You don't have time to do everything that you want. I've spent all day today clearing out our spare room and making it nice, and clearing out a cupboard so that I've actually got somewhere where I can record my voice acting without it echoing everywhere like this.
That's the thing.
So I'm going to be housing myself in a cupboard under the stairs to record my next batch of lines that I've got to record.
It's a weird thing. Like when you're a kid, you want games to be like 100 hours and like 200 hours, these like full like open world RPG experiences. Like as an adult, it's just it's hard, man. It's hard to fucking play.
Like you get maybe 1 or 2 hours a night.
Yeah, no.
But in those spare 2 hours, you want to spend them with your friends, your loved ones, or you've got to do the dishes, or you've got to do the laundry.
That's why you gotta bundle that shit, you know.
Exactly.
When TES 6 comes out,
Have your friends do the washing up for you whilst you play.
well, if you can get them to do that, that would be great. But I'm thinking your friends
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do that. So have your friends play a little bit while you wash the dishes in the living room somehow. I don't know. Bring a bucket. Get a giant bucket and
Big old dolly tub.
yeah. There you go. You figure it out. You'll figure it out. I mean, there are certain games that I'm definitely gonna make time for, but it's just, man, just playing for fun. It's hard. It's hard to find time.
It's hard because you've got to plan out your day around it.
Yeah.
And I like being spontaneous.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
can't spontaneously go to the pub if I'm having to plan things out. But yes, so we are going to talk about Watchmen next week. Whether I've just watched the first episode or the second episode or maybe caught up all the way up to episode 7. It'll be at this time next week.
Oh, that's true.
I will watch it and we shall discuss it. So thank you for the suggestions, folks.
It's very good. I like it so far.
It seems right up my alley. Apparently, Alan Moore, the creator of Watchmen, he's come out as saying that he's going to vote for the first time this election, which is nice.
Oh. He doesn't have any comments on
Yes.
the show, though, does he?
No, he's not. He's not commented on the show. I don't
Yeah.
think.
Alan Moore did not comment on
He doesn't really comment on adaptations. Does
adaptations. There you go. Adaptations of his work. Did not like them. But yeah, it's a good show. I like it. It's because it's not a rehash. It takes place after the events of the graphic novel, so
Yeah.
that's good. And it's a brand new story, and it has like a lot of references, but it's brand new. So I really. Anyways, we'll talk about that next week.
he? I will give it a shot.
All right. Anything else you want to mention that we did not talk about? Sims.
Yeah, I just discovered today that Sims can't drink alcohol, and therefore I'm never playing The Sims again.
You just need a mod for that. They can only drink juice, right? Is that what you said?
Juice. Think of the sugar.
Sugar
Think
is
of how
bad for
high
you.
your sugar would spike.
Have you seen that YouTube video where they gave a rat like just a bunch of sugar and he basically like went brain dead? It's pretty sad, but
Oh my god, no.
he couldn't swim straight. Like they put him in a pool and he was like swimming into the walls and stuff just because he was constantly on sugar. But yeah, sugar's not good for you.
It's just like The Sims. They're just walking into walls, peeing everywhere, unable to get out of the pool because I deleted their ladder.
You know, see, that's just you torturing them. You might as well just give them
Yeah.
sugar. But yeah, you should make a mod that takes out the juice, gives them alcohol instead. Healthy.
Yes,
good
exactly.
for you
Much
alcohol.
healthier. Exactly.
Or you don't even have to put in alcohol. You could just put quotations around the juice. So they're drinking juice. You know what I mean? Leave it up to the player to imagine.
Moonshine.
Because if you say not juice but juice with quotations, then it could be anything.
Juice.
Yes.
With a wing.
Yes. Make your Sims wink as well when they say it. They say, "I'm drinking juice." Wink, wink.
Well, it'd be more like a bleep or two for those, yeah?
That's true. I didn't know you spoke Sims.
A bleep
You're
or
basically
two,
bilingual.
huh? Bleep bloop.
Yeah, and then...
Like, ah!
and- oh, there you go. Trilingual. You also speak Bran. So there you go. On that note, that's all we have for this
On
week.
that bombshell.
Yes.
Yep. Join us again next week
Yes.
where we will be talking about Watchmen.
Yes. And giving more lessons in linguistics.
Simlish
Yes. And Branish. Branese.
and Branish. Baka! You've got to get the tone of your different calls right.
Yes. You want to have gravitas in your voice as a ruler of the 7 kingdoms, or 6 kingdoms now.
Baka!
How do you say, "I rule the 6 kingdoms" in Branese?
Baka!
There you go. All right. Talk to you later.
See you later.